We were stuck, and closing, that just wasn't a business decision. This was personal. We tried everything, but there was no support from the people that we bought into their brand and their business.
Franchises are a scam. Number one, you're paying royalties forever. Percentage of your sales, not profit. 5 to 10% is going to their pocket every single month without lifting a finger. And if you don't pay, that brand is snatched. Number two, the lease is under your name. So God forbid something happened to the business, you are responsible, not them. Number three, you're building their dream, their brand, not yours. Number four, you're buying products directly from them. So if you decide that you found a better price, better product, or you want to add something and you want to innovate, that's not allowed, right? I can go on and on why franchises are a scam. Now, here's what I recommend. Building your own brand. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. Contact me. I will help you get your own brand, your own setup, your own empire. That's what I built for myself.
What was the worst financial decision you ever made?
Decided to buy a Two Maids and a Mop franchise.
Cleaning business.
A cleaning business, yes. Look, the cleaning business is completely fine. However, I would say if you want to go into the cleaning business, you want to do commercial and not residential. I was doing residential cleaning, but the biggest mistake that I made, James, was that nobody worked in the business that had ownership, okay? I didn't work in the business. My business partner didn't work in the business. We had other things going on where we were making a lot more money, and the business basically went unwatched. No matter how much you pay an employee, no matter how important you make an employee feel, they would never treat a business like an owner. And we needed somebody who had ownership in the driver's seat of that business. And because of that, that business struggled, and eventually we had to sell.
So it's seeming like to me, it's better to just start your own business. You got more control. Let's hear some more stories, man.
I think that my biggest regret when it comes to opening our business was signing a 10-year lease. I think if you are a new business owner, you're in the process of opening a business, be really careful about what your lease says and how long your lease is. Obviously for us, we were a franchise and we signed a 10-year franchise agreement, and a part of that meant signing a 10-year lease. So we had no intention of getting out of our franchise. It just worked out that we did 6 years in. So now we're no longer a franchise. And I literally get so frustrated with being locked into a 10-year lease. I see businesses close all the time. But not just it's not because I want to close, but also just we've outgrown our space. We want to do different things. Our space is really limiting and we are locked into a 10-year lease. So it's just super frustrating because at this point it is limiting the growth of our business and it's becoming just a pain point. And I'm beating myself up. We were 27 and 28 when we signed our franchise agreement and signed our lease. So as a 27-year-old who had never opened a business, I had no idea. The franchise said, you signed a 10-year lease. And I said, okay. And now I'm why did I sign a 10-year lease? Because we're heading in almost at 7 years. And I'm we still have 3 more years in this phase and we're over it. So if anyone has any advice on that, I don't think we can get out of it, but maybe there's a way. Who knows? I think you have to pay the remainder of your lease, which we're at Village Point. So that's a lot of money, which we don't have and we're not going to spend. But if you are a new business owner, you're thinking about opening a business, your lease, that is literally make or break, not just the term of it, but the conditions of it. Literally get a good lawyer to read your lease and make sure you're signing a lease that makes sense, and do not sign a 10-year lease.
Here's a real life example of why you should not buy a franchise ever. So I've got a friend, an acquaintance, who bought a franchise about 12 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. He did $600,000 in revenue and was not profitable. He's owner operated. He barely has any employees and he still was not profitable. The business model that he chose happens to be a model where generally you're lucky to make 10, 15% net profit, but the franchise takes 6 to 10% of that. So right off the top, he's not profitable until he hits scale. He has to do, he told me the numbers, $2.5 to $3 million in revenue before he'll ever see $1 in profit. That's a really, really hard proposition. If he didn't have that extra added expense of the franchise fees and the marketing fees from the franchise, he would have been profitable year one. $600,000 in revenue in your first year as a startup is not bad. It's pretty good. And to still lose money really, really hurts. Look, some franchises can be okay. Not all franchises are created equal, and I get the appeal of it. If you've never ran a business before, if you don't really know what you're doing, and you just want to be able to focus on operations and not have to focus on the business model and the branding and like the vision of where it's going, I get that that can be appealing. But with a little bit of time, research, effort, making some mistakes on your own, you can start that same business independently and be so much farther ahead. The support that the franchise would normally give you, you can get from mentors, from business coaches, right? That are going to be ultimately a lot less expensive than giving 6 to 10% or sometimes more off the top line revenue right off the rip.
90% of them are not worth investing in. Yep. So first off, franchises out there, their investment range is from typically the ones that I work with, 150,000 initial investment, all the way up to multiple millions of dollars if you're going to buy a territory, and it depends on the concept and all that. The big benefit that you get starting with a franchise is what you want to buy is the systems are already in place. Whatever the end product is, it could be a food product, it could be a service, whatever you're doing, the systems are already in place to execute that. The other thing, as I said earlier, marketing is so important. And when you're starting your own company, you're either going to have to hire those experts, and that honestly, hiring expensive experts is the cheapest way of starting your own business, because otherwise you're going to make mistakes. You're going to pay for it more than once if you don't hire the experts. If you have a franchise, hopefully they've already hired those experts, and the people in those positions are already great at it. And that's part of the homework that we do when they come to me and we start investigating brands. I'll tell you, this year, I believe it's over 4,200 franchises available for sale. 90% of them are not worth investing in. So I'm telling you, that still leaves 420. So that out of 420 different concepts, that's plenty to pick from. But really, there's only about 50 or 60 that I would ever present to my clients. What I look for and what you would need starting your own business, you have to have a solid concept to begin with. So that's got to be something that has legs. Like, there's a lot of interesting, cool brands that you'll see on Instagram, TikTok, and all that. But you're signing a 10-year franchise agreement. I need to make sure that that's going to be around for 10 years. If they stop posting about it on TikTok and people stop coming in the door, you still have 9.5 years left of lease payments. You need to make sure you're busy the entire time. That's why I never recommend those flash in the pan concepts.
Scam. This guy gonna tell you all the restaurants that will leave you broke and will leave you with regret. Let's hear him out real quick.
5 of the worst food franchises to invest in 2025. If you thought about any 5 of these, save your money or set it on fire in the parking lot. Same result. Coming in at number 5, Subway. Bro, they're everywhere. How are you supposed to eat if the store down the street is selling the same foot-long sandwich? It's oversaturated. Unless you get a very high-volume store, stay away. Coming in at number 4, Dickey's Barbecue. Bro, this isn't the 90s anymore. Barbecue is on a different level. The franchise owners are complaining. The numbers are weak. Stay away. Number 3, Auntie Anne's, however you want to pronounce it. The product is actually really good, but the mall is dead, so if the foot traffic is going, so is your bag. Number 2, Great American Cookies. Same exact issue. They're stuck in these ghost town malls. If nobody's at the mall, nobody's buying. Coming in at number 1, Cold Stone Creamery. Look, ice cream is cool in the summer, but bills don't freeze in the winter. The overhead is not worth it. It's way too high. I'll leave it at that. Some of these franchises look really shiny, but they'll drain your pockets faster than your ex.
Y'all better listen to him. He trying to save y'all some money. Now, these next couple clips is like some true story times, and they are really, really, really interesting. So I want y'all to listen to these. Look at this.
Did you know that buying a McDonald's franchise can literally cost you your life? In 2020, Patricia Williams took her own life after her 2 McDonald's locations buried her family in $1.8 million of debt. Patricia invested her entire life savings of $350,000 in 2018, believing McDonald's projections of $180,000 profit per store. Instead, she faced labor shortages, rising wages, and COVID lockdowns that killed her revenue. But here's the trap. Franchise fees, rent, and equipment payments never stopped, no matter how little money came in. When Patricia died, her family discovered something devastating. The business life insurance policy was voided because of suicide during financial crisis. Even worse, Patricia had personally guaranteed all the franchise loans, making her husband liable for every penny of debt. McDonald's corporate structure essentially traps franchisees in debt cycles they can't escape. This is why small business owners need substantial personal life insurance that protects families from entrepreneurial failures. Because when the American dream becomes a nightmare, your family shouldn't lose everything you worked for. The franchise might own your business, but proper life insurance means they can't own your family's future.
I have a terrible story about this next business that still makes me angry. My brother dropped $50,000 on a franchise without telling me. Here's what happened. He bought a hazmat remediation franchise, disaster cleanup, hoarder houses, death scene cleanups. At first, I thought it could be actually an interesting business model, but the franchise ruins it. He put in a $50,000 fee, and the franchise takes margins off the top, capturing the vast majority of the upside. It's not very sellable because you don't own the systems. The franchisor controls when and who you can sell to. Eventually, my brother realized he was competing with local operators who have lower cost structures while the franchisor keeps taking his cut. Compare this to a Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. They block competition in your area. You actually own that territory. Most franchises don't have that brand power. Here's the flip side. I met an Uber driver in New York City who's about to buy a Domino's franchise. And I had this Uber driver who picked us up in a Rivian. I was asking this guy, I was like, a Rivian is a pretty expensive car and you're driving in New York City. What made you decide to buy this car? I was like, this makes absolutely no sense. What he was really doing was preparing to buy a Domino's franchise. And I thought, that's interesting. He had gone in and worked with a family member who had done it before. He spent like 3 years working in the Domino's franchise, went to all their training, learned how to operate it, learned everything about the economics.
Pretty sure I underestimated how intense it would be opening a franchise. So I'm going to share all of the details once I have all of that laid out. But right now I just want to vent / be excited / I'm scared / all of the above, because I'm really excited about the project, and it's going to be an adult daycare for cognitive impairment, like your Alzheimer's, your dementia, but it's set back in the 1950s, and it's kind of like high school where you come in and our members will be able to go into the different, we call them storefronts, and when you walk in the door, you'll see a park, so you look like you're outside, elevated ceilings, there's a diner, a music room, a workout room, there's 1950s nostalgia, decor everywhere, and it is going to be the cutest thing you've ever seen. It's like a mini city and makes me think of Back to the Future. Okay, so now that we have that, I thought that we would be doing the franchise and there would be so much support, which there is, don't get me wrong, but I am feeling very overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that I have been doing and needing to decide and needing to lay out, and legal language and lease stuff and commercial property and loans and deciding on furniture and paint color and decor and hiring decisions and HR companies. And I'm like, oh my God. But I wasn't overwhelmed until I got my Facebook page for the business, and I'm like, okay, so I've got to fill that out, even though I've been posting on social media every day. I've been trying to build my social media. That is what's overwhelming me right now. Are you kidding me? Just the idea of, oh my gosh, I've got to post all of this stuff, and I'm over here ChatGPT going, okay, I need a schedule and I need a timeline and I need it organized, and I'm so great I can outsource to him, but at the same time I'm okay, I am driving around and I am trying to do everything and anything to keep myself busy, to not think about the things that I need to be thinking about, but yet I'm also still thinking about the things I need to be thinking about. And so anyway, yeah, there's my rant for the day. I just want to let you guys know that I feel like a crazy person, and yeah, I'll keep you posted. I'm really excited. I'm still going to do the other stuff. I'll have a whole thing on it, but as of right now, this is where I'm at. Okay, bye.
Yeah, it still work. You got to realize you paying for a job. That's what you're doing. You're paying for a job that you can't control. So you might as well just get a regular job that's going to pay you. This next guy, he finna go off. He really finna go off. Look at him.
Here's the problem with owning a franchise. You gotta follow their rules and play by their games. If I'm gonna put my time into building a business, I don't want no one to tell me what I can and cannot do. I want to play by my own rules and my own game. And this goes the same to Amazon. For those of you who do drop shipping, private label, you're building your business on someone else's land. Think about it. You see, when you get too many negative reviews, guess what? Amazon can, boom, take your products away overnight. If your product's selling really, really good, guess what? Amazon goes and create the exact same one, and now they buy it in massive amount of volume so they can sell it for way cheaper than you can. Now you gotta go hunt for another product, build it from scratch all the way up again. You gotta spend so much money on advertising, marketing, PPC, and all of that to actually make a good profit off of your products. You see, think about it. If you're gonna build a business, don't build it on someone else's land. Control your business. Don't let someone else's control it.
So here's why I just don't think running or owning fast food franchises are a business that I would be interested in ever again. So about 12 years ago, I opened my first fast food franchise, and then we opened a second store about 2 years later. And for 8 years, we were running 2 fast food franchises. And in the beginning, it started off well money-wise. But what I really hated about that business is, number one, the setup costs are extremely high. Number two, it's long hours. You just don't have any more weekends left. And it's not what I call a lifestyle business. Number three, you've got to manage staff. And that was one of the reasons we had a lot of issues in the business, because of endless staffing issues. Number four, the rental to lease the premises just started increasing year after year, and it basically ate into our profits. And number five, competition is rife. So even though some fast food franchises might say we won't open a store within a certain radius of that store, there's other competition, other brands. But sometimes the brand that you're in, they don't have rules like that, and they put a store just right down the road from where you are. And that's something that happened to us as well. So that's the reason. That's really not for me. I just don't prefer those businesses or like them anymore. But each to his own. Let me know what you think.
He just went down all the reasons. Trash. See, now I used to look into stuff like this because I was, I'm business minded. Of course, I didn't have the money. I was window shopping franchises, and I looked at Subway. I was like, oh, $20,000. If I had $20,000, or at the time, I was young. I was like, oh, I'd do it. Maybe back then it would have been good because Subway was still growing, I guess, back then when I was a kid. I don't know. I was just looking. I was like, oh, but look, I'm glad I ain't had the money because I'd have crashed out. $20,000 for some slavery. No, I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm not paying for that. I'm not. if I'm gonna be locked up, slavery, that could be free. We don't want to do that at all. But if I had to choose, I would be in slavery for free. I'm not paying for it. Why would I pay? I could just go work at Subway under somebody and less stress if I wanted to do that. Okay, I don't like sandwiches that much. Okay, now look at this next one. She's gonna tell you why she regretted it. She done been there, done that.
Of course, we've learned a lot from owning a franchise. The biggest would be, I will never, ever, ever own one again. Like, not even if there's a fire. Like my husband asked, like, we would never do another one. I'm like, absolutely not. The amount of money you put in to start one, and maybe that's just our experience, like, it wasn't worth it. It really wasn't. And so I would probably be on board for opening up something that we owned and not a franchise. I think we learned a lot how to run a business and all the things, but that wasn't because of the franchise. That was just because I did everything on my own, and I now know how to do a lot of things, and Google is your friend. So we did learn a lot, and owning a business is not out of the question, so we would do one again. But a franchise would be a hell no. And maybe it sounds like a lot of other people would feel the same way. And so, yeah. maybe we'll own a business again one day. Probably not anytime soon. So there you have it.
Do not buy a franchise in 2025. Here's why. On paper, a franchise looks like a shortcut to success, but the reality is often very different. Buying a franchise means you'll pay hefty upfront fees and royalties and marketing contributions all before you make a single dollar.
Y'all heard the man. I had to chop him short because he was trying to sell a bullcrap course. I ain't gonna lie. I can tell you, I can smell your course seeping through your pores, my brother. You ain't finna sell it. But get up out of here. Scram. But he was speaking facts about that franchise. You know what I'm saying? I already know course sellers, they be trying to do that. They look. You probably want to make a franchise for your course. I already know. That's why I cut the clip. But yes, don't own no franchise, man, unless you ready for it. If you can, I ain't gonna say don't do it, but you just need to know what come with it. That's why I wanted to put these clips and let you know, brother, don't do no franchise for sure. So, hey, if y'all know anybody going through this and having franchise problems or just success, drop it in the comments. Again, it's been Josh from Talk to Him, boy. I just talked to you, boy. I'm out.